Last weekend, we had the release of Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, and while I'm a little late to the party, I still wanted to rank these movies from worst to best and let you know what I think of this awesome franchise. And just to let you know, the reason it took a little bit longer to get this video out is I went on a trip to go see Furiosa and 40X, and I had to wait a little longer to get to do that, but it was totally worth it. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and apologies for the delay. In last place is Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And this movie isn't awful, but it's the weakest because I feel like it falls apart and doesn't feel like a consistent movie. Where I think it starts pretty strong. I enjoy Thunderdome, and the match itself inside of the Thunderdome is interesting. I think there's some solid action sequences. I like the scene where Max is in the room of the office, basically of Tina Turner's character, and takes out all the guards. I think that's fun. And I don't think the PG-13 rating holds it back too much in that section. Obviously, we don't get the blood and some of the extreme violence, but I feel like it still has the Mad Max energy. But it fully loses that when we get to the second half of the movie, and it's Peter Pan with Max. And so he's basically just leading these group of kids into battle, and it's fine, but it's just nowhere as interesting. And yeah, I mean, Max is always the reluctant hero. He stumbles into these situations and he has to find a way to get out of them. And then along the way, he becomes endeared to this group of people and helping them. And I don't think that's as interesting with this group of kids. There's this weird thing where they recognize him to be someone else. And I don't think that storyline totally comes together. I think it it's a storyline that's very similar to what happens in The Road Warrior. And that movie does it much, much better. This just is kind of like, hey, it feels more like a family-friendly movie if we have Max help these kids, and it just doesn't really work. I think Tina Turner's weird casting. She's not bad, but definitely weird casting. There's some fun ideas like Master Blaster. That's a fun idea they have in there, and yeah, just some fun ideas with Thunderdome. Thunderdome's really fun, but then there's just also the other side of things that just make just baffling decisions, like a town run on pig poop. Kind of a weird choice, but yeah, it's just a weird entry in this franchise where we have this R-rated, intense, kind of bleak wasteland, and then we have half of a toned down version of that, and then half of a Peter Pan remake, and just doesn't fully come together. Fourth place, I have the original Mad Max. And this movie is just kind of a hard one to sit through for me. I think it goes way too bleak. And this franchise is always the franchise that's had some bleak moments and just a bleak tone to it. But this movie just takes it so far. And it's honestly shocking that such a depressing movie spawned such a fun and action packed franchise where it feels like such an oddly structured movie where every little bit there's just this another tragedy for Max, and it just makes for a really difficult watch. And I think it just goes a little too far, where obviously these villains are targeting Max, but then we have a scene where they run a random couple off the road, destroy their car, and sexually assault them. And it just feels so gross, so just difficult to sit through. And it doesn't feel like it has the fun of the later Mad Max movies. I think it's doesn't really sit well like the other films in the franchise, where I feel like I would enjoy rewatching Beyond Thunderdome more because it's more of a fun movie. This movie is better made. I think it deserves more credit for spawning this awesome franchise. Has some really good stunt work. Considering what they were working with on this movie, it is so impressive that this got made. And just the stunts that you're watching, incredible. It's cool to see the wasteland before it fully becomes the wasteland we know in movies like Fury Road, Furiosa, and Beyond Thunderdome, and even Road Warrior. We start to see it a little more in Road Warrior, but yeah, it's cool seeing a little earlier time period. But I think the movie is just way too difficult fit in with the other movies in the franchise. It's a little more gross, has some more tragic themes that affect some of its rewatchability for me. So it's definitely lower on this list, but an impressive movie overall. So it's good, but I would definitely warn anyone before they checked it out. Third place is Mad Max 2, also known as The Road Warrior. And I think this movie is a lot of fun. And this is where you can start seeing the blueprint of what's to come in Fury Road, where you get the rig and these epic chase scenes that are just so much fun. And I really like how this movie sets up Max as more of a mythic figure, where this franchise, it doesn't follow this huge journey Max is on. It's more tales of these people at individual moments of their life and how Max will just like walk on in and help make a change, fight for what's right. And I think that this movie is really a really cool has a really cool way of doing that, where we get this starting off with this narration that recaps the first movie. And I think honestly, this is a good starting point for the franchise. I think there's merits to the first movie. It's worth watching. But if some of the elements that are harder to sit through for you, if that's going to stop you from watching it, this is a great place to start. And I think that having the narrator discuss Max as mythic figure, the road warrior, I think it really adds to the legend of the character. I think there's just some fun scenes too. We got the pilot character who it's pretty entertaining, all their shenanigans. Um, Max's dog, I feel like there's some really cool stuff they do with that character where he's trained him to be able to hold people hostage or some fun stuff with that. And I think Max's relation with the child that he's protecting is really good. And I think I just appreciate this movie more because it really laid the groundwork for Fury Road and Furiosa, movies I absolutely love. And I think it's just a really cool movie in this franchise. I feel like Mel Gibson's, this is his best performance as Max. He's good in the other two movies that he plays the character in, but I feel like he really just shines as this mythic hero, the road warrior. And I just think this movie is really cool. Really cool movie from the 80s. It's definitely one I will revisit, but I think what holds it out a little bit more is I think the stunt work and the effects, the stories, I think I just resonate more with the two that are higher on this list, but still, really good movie. Second place for me is the newest entry in the Mad Max franchise, Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, and I thought this was an excellent prequel, and I was very impressed. I went into this one with very high expectations. It was the first Mad Max movie I was going to see on the big screen, and it met my expectations and exceeded them. This movie is extremely good, and I really like the adventure that it takes Furiosa on. The word that's been used to describe it in the marketing and a lot of different reviews is Odyssey. This is Furiosa's like Odyssey, her journey, and I think that is very accurate, and I think that's what makes this movie so great. We're following Anya Taylor-Joy on this huge, basically this journey across Furiosa's life, and we lead up pretty much right into Fury Road, and we learn where she was as a child, and then how she got to start Fury Road, and it's just so interesting because they could have just had a movie that took place and had one of Furiosa's journeys before Fury Road, but instead they take her on this quest across this portion of her life, and I thought that was super fascinating. Chris Hemsworth is a great villain. He is terrifying, and Dementus is a great name for his villain because this character is demented, terrifying, and you absolutely fear him, but you're entertained by him at the same time. Anya Taylor-Joy, like I was talking about, is excellent. She is amazing as Furiosa. If you have any doubts about someone besides Charlize Theron playing this role, throw those out the window. She is amazing. The story is amazing. I think the new characters it introduces, Victoria and Jack, they're all very interesting. I think that the way it ties into Fury Road is excellent. I rewatched Fury Road right after watching Furiosa, and they pair together amazing. This is an excellent double feature if I've ever seen one. And overall, it's just an excellent Mad Max movie. I think it really expands the franchise out by focusing on another character besides Max. We've had so many Max-centered journeys that it's so cool to see Furiosa's take on the wasteland. and it just really makes Fury Road an even better movie, if that was even possible. That movie is amazing, and this movie is amazing too. It's excellent. And a little fun side note, I got to see it in 40x. That's kind of why it took a while to get the review out, like I was saying, but I think that was such a fun way to watch the movie. 40x immerses you into those action scenes a bit more, and if you get the chance to see it that way, I would highly recommend it. And just one more piece to add on that, I didn't touch on it fully because I'm going to talk about action for a long time and when I talk about this next movie, but the action here is on par with Fury Road. The stunts with the war rigs and everything are amazing, and I was just very, very impressed with this movie and would highly recommend it. Pretty easily, in first place for me is Mad Max Fury Road, and this movie is just absolutely amazing. It's excellent and definitely one of the best action movies ever made. The chase scenes with the war rig are thrilling, immersive, and just insanely made. The stunt work and the minimal use of CGI and the way it's hidden in the shots, just mind blowing. And I really appreciate how this movie truly is a 2 hour chase scene where we're just in this situation and the movie just plays out and takes this long. And it's truly something special. I adore this movie. I think it's extremely rewatchable, and it just has so many fun details and just a really cool style to it that stands out in this franchise and in the genre. Where you have the War Boy characters and their witness and all their sacrifices into Valhalla with their metallic spray they put on themselves. It's just there's so many little details that you'll walk away remembering. Or the guitar player on one of the war rigs with his guitar that shoots fire. It's just such a memorable movie and just an awesome, awesome action movie. I think our two leads are insanely good with Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, and it's just really crazy that they hated each other while filming because you feel such a respect between the characters in the movie. So to find out that they hated each other's guts is really fascinating and shows how great actors they are that does not come across on screen. Morton Joe is a really scary and interesting villain, and it's just so fascinating that he also played the villain in the original Mad Max. So kind of a fun utilization of a original franchise actor coming back later in a totally different kind of role. Honestly, for me, much more memorable. But yeah, I just adore this movie. I think just everything about it is perfect. I don't have any flaws. I think the plot is really great. Script is so tight. The side characters like Nicholas Hoult and Zoe Kravitz, everyone just really shines in this movie. The action's amazing. George Miller's direction, so good. I want many more of these. I'm hoping that the box office performance of Furiosa doesn't prevent this franchise from going on. I'm praying that we get more. And if you haven't seen Furiosa, please go see it. If you haven't seen Fury Road, I don't know what you're waiting for. This movie is amazing. One of the best there is. And yeah, I cannot recommend enough. This movie is absolutely perfect. Thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for my reviews of Hitman and the Bike Riders. I had the chance to see both a bit early and definitely want to let you know what I think.